This
you can
conference
actually.
will now be recorded.
So yeah, this is the test case template. You can actually use this for recording, writing your own test cases, right? So regression test template, this is how you can report the script statuses. Like you have these many test cases and you can say pass or fail, whatever. So I have already filled in this with drop downs. So like I told you, test case can have either of these statuses: pass, fail, black, deferred, in progress. So depending upon your current status, you can fill this in. And these are the data. Like I told you, test data can be in the same, and comments in it. So just going through this now. And automation test plan or test plan in general will look like this. So this is my test plan. So I just made some corrections and shared it with you guys so that you can refer to it. So it normally contains these scope objectives in the introduction and methodology if you're following any, and reports and pass fail criteria, testing processes, which shows schedule, environment, database, everything. So like I already discussed, so there will be entry criteria, exit criteria, suspension criteria, right? Approval criteria. So that will be discussed, and assumptions, risks, and all those will be discussed in this chapter, and anything related to change management and reference documents. So this is just to give you an idea. And okay, when we start automation, these will be useful, not now. So data pool normally used for data driven testing. So if you're following multiple, if you have multiple this thing modules, you can use separate tabs for this, and all the data comes from these cells, so test case and their data. So this is one way of doing it. Other way of automation data pool is like this. So this is the data pool which I have designed. So these are all test case names, and these are all data like first name, last name, date of birth, gender, all the data you can fill in these. So this, if you can see this, so I have filled in all the data. Like it completely depends upon your project. For example, here I am filling in demographic scenario, and its expected result and demographic data. So demographic data contains the date of birth, gender, and what I am expecting. So this is the first name, last name, date of birth, gender, age. So since this is dynamic data, I can put the age, date of birth in number, age, and my program will calculate the date of birth. So I can design. So basically, this is to put in all the data and have the code read this data and fill in the application in the automation testing. So this is a very complex data pool, so don't worry. And I have given the legend. Green bold means script complete, yellow means script in progress, red means not working, orange means temporarily debugging. So you can put the details. Color coding will easily tell. So, okay, so what else? Data pool automation, regression test status. I already showed it to you. Yeah, so these are the test deliverables. You can actually use it for your own homework or whatever. Okay, so any doubts in the manual testing? Because I'm going to jump to Java. Okay. So if not, I will go over. Okay, can anyone speak? Any questions related to manual testing, or shall I move? So I have taken a look at some of your homework that you emailed. So everything looks good. You have come up with ECA and BVA and ECP, right? Related to that insurance example, policy A and age. So that looks good. So one, I think Shukladas or someone has not done the BVA and ECP, so you can do that. So remaining some people has done. Okay. So let me move on. All right. Okay, so Java, for Java, you need to download the Java. Okay, so this is the link, and you download the Eclipse. Eclipse is this one, and you can use browsers, all the Chrome browser, Firefox browser, latest versions. And okay, we will start programming. So before starting, so do any of you have any prior knowledge of programming languages like C, C++, Java? Is it? Are you able to listen to me? Can you hear me? Okay, good, good. Because I am thinking you are not able to hear me. Okay. So let me time. Okay. Also, just to give you a heads up, this coming Saturday and Sunday, I'm not gonna be available. So I'm going to go out of station. So instead, we can take class on tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 hours at the same time, or we can skip this next weekend and cover on a subsequent week. Okay. All right. So no.
Second option is better.
Okay. All right. So in Java, in C++, C, Java, all of these compiled programs. So that means you have a Java file, and when you compile, a class file will be created, dot class file. Okay, unlike other programming languages like interpretive languages, which are VB script, JavaScripting, which don't need compilation, they will be directly executed upon double clicking. So C++ requires preprocessor, where Java is a more advanced version of C++. So basically, whatever is developed in C are further developed and they made it as C++, and similarly they improved the language and made it as Java. So Java does not require preprocessor. Okay, and normally this is how it works. So in Java, the structure looks like this. So we have source code, and source, once you write source code in the Eclipse, you can compile, right? You will compile it, and then what happens after you compile, class file will be created. So source coding is in terms of .java, and when you compile, a .class file will be created, right? So this .class file is normally known as bytecode or intermediate code. So the source code is in English language. I mean, you can pretty much understand it. So it's basically Java. So whereas after compilation, the dot class will be in bytecode. So this primarily be a machine language we cannot understand. And this will be processed by JVM. All right. So then you can run this So when you run, it will be run like just like an exe file. Yeah. So when you run, it will run, and the class is just like a template here. So basically, okay, before this, Java is nothing but a combination of classes and objects. I'll just write in short, classes and objects. Okay. So what is a class? You will come to know what is a class in practicality. So class is a just like a template, and object. What is object? It's a replica of a class. Okay, so every program you have to import some packages, prior packages, which has pre-written coding. So that is just to avoid writing all this coding. So if I am dealing with the input-output operations, I just have to import this package called java.io. So dot star means all the sub packages that are involved in IO, or you can particularly import that particular sub package. And utility related, I can import utility, and SQL. If I'm writing SQL, I can import SQL. If I'm dealing with the math, I can import java.math. So blah blah. See, these are called Java packages. So this is the first and foremost. Before, especially first and foremost will be uh, import statements, and package declaration will be the first. And if you're using package, you can declare the package name, and then import statements follow. So then your actual code follows. Then you can put your runnable code or whatever you're running in the main function, public static void main, that we will see later. So mainly we have three access modifiers. Any function can either be public, private, or protected. So public means any this class and other class can also access that method. Private means if you make a method private, only in that class you can access it. Protected is with some conditions. So now what are methods? Can be of three access modifiers, either public, private, protected. Now there are four types of methods. Any method either takes arguments and returns some value. Okay, so based on this, there are four combinations you can make. A method that can accept argument and return a value. So it will look like this. So some function name, it accepts arguments called a, b. A is of type integer, b is of type string, and returns a value integer. Okay. So public is an access modifier. So that means I can use this function, call this function anyway within the project in another class also. I will show you that is just theoretically an explain. So, and a method that accepts arguments but does not return a value. So it is accepting two arguments, not returning. So basically you can put it as void. And a method does not accept arguments but returns a value. So it is not accepting any arguments, but it is returning a value of type string. And finally, a method that does not accept any arguments does not return any value. So no arguments and no return value. Okay, to this in a moment. Okay. Okay, so first, okay, these are all previous. So here I have created a package, a project called Selenium tutorial, and created packages, all this. Okay, so I can create a new one instead of this one. So then we'll go about it. So first open the Eclipse and create new Java project, right? So let's call it Java tutorial. Okay, make sure you have JRE 1.8, which is the latest version. So download that and next and next. Okay, so we have our project created. Source is the main this thing main package. So in the source you can create a package like this. Okay, so I want to create a simple package called test. So the nomenclature is package name starts with a small letter, so just keep in mind. Now test. Now within test I will create a class, because Java is a combination of class and objects, right? So I will create a class. Let's call it welcome. Let's start. So class name starts with a capital letter, whereas package name starts with a small letter. Now since I am running, I want to put some runnable code inside it. I can include public static void main string arguments. So I can check this checkbox, which will generate this line for me, or I can write it inside this. So finish. Okay. So now first and foremost, like I told you, package declaration. Which package? My class is in test package. So package declaration is our package test semicolon. And then if I am using any built-in code, I have to import those packages. Like I told you, I want to use input output operation related methods, and I can import this. Since I don't want, then just leave it. So then class declaration, public class welcome. So public is a an access modifier. So my class is public, and class keyword, then your class name. All right. Now all the code lies within this class. Now, so this I will remove. It's not. This is a commented line, so it automatically generates the to do auto-generated method stuff. So I can remove this. So if I want to declare any variables, I can declare outside here. And if I want to run anything, I have to keep that piece of code inside the main function. So public static void main, that means it's a public method and static, and it does not return anything, and it takes arguments. I can provide the runnable while running, I can pass the argument. So if I don't want to pass any arguments, that's fine. You can simply run or run with the arguments. So simply you can run like Java application or run with configurations. So where I can pass the arguments. Now simply I want to print something. So since I want to run something, I have to put it inside the main function. So system. Yeah. So system is a class, is out. I want to print something to the console. So println. Okay. So this println is a function which takes arguments, whatever I want to print. So we can print like, and since it takes a string, I'll put it in within the quotes. Okay. Now, if I want to run, I have to save this, and I can run by right clicking and run as Java application. Okay, so now since I want to print something to the console, now that when I run, it will be printed. Now you might ask me, where is the class file? This is a Java file, .java file. So the class file will be created since it's created within the this workspace, but it is simply not shown. I just made it hidden. So when I compile, when I run, it will compile automatically. So in the olden days, we used to use Java C command and compile first, then use Java command from the command prompt, but it's not required anymore. So the Eclipse IDE will automatically take care of it. So when I run, it will compile and it will basically run the class file. So it's all run in the background. So and the output is displayed over here. So if you want to make it little bit complicated, like you can use the logic and everything, we'll see more such examples. So I have created some examples file here. Okay, I'll close all of this. Okay. Okay, so in this Java, first we will look at data types, but I won't take much time about this. I'll intrinsically talk about this. So we have seen classes and we are going to see functions and packages. Okay, so I'll jump to some examples. So in this example, I just showed you how to print something onto console, just like hello world or something. So we have printed welcome to Java session simply to console. This is the simplest program. Okay, I will go to, for example, these are not for initial. Okay, I'll rather give it to you so that you can go through it. Okay, so now we will simply create three variables and print their addition to the console. So simply, so let's take the integers. So integer, double, string, these are all data types. So since I'm not going into the too much introduction, which will take a lot of time, so I'm intrinsically explaining all this within the program itself so that we can directly go to the Selenium. So integer a comma b comma c. All right, so I have declared three variables, right? Now I can initialize these three variables within this. So let's say integer, I am initializing a with 10. All right, and b, okay, or I can do it within another function. Okay, let's do one thing. I will create a function and use the, so let's create a function called public integer addition add, which takes integer a, integer b as arguments. And so my job is to just add this and return. All right. Okay, so I want to add runtime. I want to pass this AB and simply return C. All right. So how can I do that? I'll call this here. Okay, for that I have to. So C to static, I have to make C static. Since I'm using the static function, I have to only use static variables inside. So now, okay, I'm calling this add and passing 10, comma 5. Okay, so now this is gonna return me what? A plus b, 10 plus 5, 15. So how would I know so that it's returning the correct value? So I can simply print it, or I can put a print statement right here. So that's all up to you. Sysout is the shortcut, and control space, which will auto fill in. So I will say addition of addition. Okay, let's not let me make it simple. Addition of the numbers is okay. So I can put a plus a and b, but let's make it simple. Is this one, or I can assign it to C. So C comes here. Okay, now we can see we can actually see the addition output in the console. So now if I run this, okay, addition of the numbers is 15. So this is how we can see. So basically I have created a function and called within the main instead of. So what is the purpose of this? Reusability. So if I want to add another set of numbers, I can simply call this here, right? Okay, let's change this function a little bit. Okay, so instead of returning C, what I'll do is I'll make it non-returnable. Okay. So let's make it void. Okay, and I'll simply print here so that I don't have to print in the main. Addition of, now I will customize in such a way that the print statement, it will also display what I'm adding and what's their addition. So addition of, so this is a string concatenation. So if I am adding or concatenating two strings, I always use a concatenation operator. Addition of a and b is then plus. So this keep in mind what output you want to see. So in such a way you can construct this println statement is C. Okay, yeah. Okay, so now this is throwing error. Anytime if you see the error, always hover over it so that you can see the what is the error about. It will show the suggestion if any quick fix are available. So since there is no return type for A, I just made it void. It's showing error. Okay, now I simply remove this C because it's not returning anything, and I don't need to sys out system.out.println is not required because I'm already printing within the function right now. So if I run this, how the output would look like? Anyone? Yes, I mean after running anyway you'll see, but how it would look like before. Any guesses? Simply, it will look like this: addition of 10 and 5 is 15. So right now it is showing this one. So when I run, it will show like that. Okay, always save it before running because it wouldn't compile. I mean, it would compile the previously saved Java file. Okay, so this is customized. So this is more better than the previous one because it clearly says what you're trying to add. Addition of 10 and 5 is 15. So instead of is, I can put equal sign. It all depends what you want in the output. Now I can run as Java application. So this is better. Okay. Now let's make three more functions. What are those? Addition, subtraction. This is just to give you idea of how you create functions, which we are going to use a lot in Selenium automation also. So subtraction. So I want to subtract two B from A, so other way around. So what? And print it to the console. So A minus B equals to C. So I would simply print or difference between. right? A and B is C. Okay, so now I will make another function called multiplication or product, right? Okay, let's call it subtract instead of subtract, because when we call it subtract, that will make no sense. Like here, add 10 plus 5, 10 and 5 instead of addition. So it all depends. How do you want to name it? Naming convention is totally you. But just need to remember the function name must start with small letter, and every new wording can start with a capital letter. So that is a camel case. So for example, I want to rename it as subtract number. It should look like this: subtract number, initial small letter, all right, and every new word must be capital letter. Okay, so let's use the same thing: add numbers, subtract numbers, multiply numbers. Okay, so as soon as I change the function uh, name in the definition, the calling changes. So just hover over it, and you see there are no quick fix available. So you can rename it, add numbers. That's it. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea, like in the real time, how do you name the functions, like camel case. This is called camel case. So multiply by numbers. So what operator can I use? Yes, what are the operators in Java? What are the operators in Java? Arithmetic operators. What are the arithmetic operators? Plus, minus, multiplication, and division, and modulus operator. All right. And assignment operators. What are the assignment operators? Equal sign. So if I am assigning something, so I am always putting equals, and right hand side will be assigned to left hand side. So arithmetic operator is this one, a plus b, so which is basically addition, just like any day simple math. Okay, assignment operators are equals, yeah, and plus equals, that means equal plus and equals. Okay, I'm just putting a gap space instead of comma, because comma can be considered as an AND operator. And minus equal, so basically it will minus and assign that, so it's a double operation. And multiply, so you can continue. So same thing will be applied for division. And modulus operator equals, just have to put space so that there is no confusion. Okay, so next set of operators is relational operators. Relational is comparison, so we will see in if conditions, conditional statements. So less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to, and equal sign is also there. So these are all relational operators. And logical operators sometimes used for combining two or more conditions. So like if I want to combine two conditions, like so and so equals so and so equals something else, like that. So for that we will use two ampersands, and this is normally AND operator. If you want to use or operator, double pipe. So likewise there are many other operators, we will see as we go on the need basis. And binary operators and unary operators, conditional operators are there, question mark, colon. and so and so forth. Okay, now we will jump back to this. Now multiplication, what operator I have to use? A star B, right? Now how do I use this here? Difference become product. Product between A and B, C. So where C is the product of A and B. So I am printing. Okay, finally we'll create another reusable function called what is left? What is the leftover operation in the arithmetic operators? Divide, division of 2. So I will basically divide A with B and return. So it's integer. So if it is any point division, I mean, which cannot be divided, so I have to declare it as, I mean, it will return real floating point. So since it's a declared as integer, I have to make sure A and B both are divisible without any this thing reminder. So I can take like 4 2, so that will give true. Okay, so product will become division. Okay, now let's call these 4 functions one after another. Okay, so anyone, how would I call this second one? Subtraction of numbers. Yes. Quickly, someone. Okay. How about Tamina? I want to call. I want to subtract 2 numbers. So what function do I need to call here? Or anyone? Shukladas,
Subtract numbers.
subtract numbers. Okay. So I can just type in partly and control space automatically. Okay. Just make sure there is no other function. Subtract numbers. So instead of subtract number, yeah, subtract numbers, right? Subtract. Yeah. So there you go. Now tell me 2 numbers which I want to subtract. Any numbers. So this is where I actually pass the test data. Let's say. So what do you want to subtract from what?
8 and 3.
8 and 3. So 8 minus 3 will be displayed. Okay, next Najir Rahman. How would I call product of 2 numbers?
It's 5.
No. I want to call product. I want to take a product of 2 numbers programmatically. What function do I have to call this here? It's already created. It is defined. Remember.
The
Get
system
it?
out.
No, simply you have to call multiply numbers. Right?
Multiply.
Yeah, so as soon as you see multi, there are many functions that are available will be displayed here. So you can choose. So that is one of the advantages with the Eclipse. So I want to multiply, let's say, tell me 2 numbers which you want to multiply and display that product. Yeah, any 2 numbers.
2 and 4.
2 and 4. Okay, good. So 2 and 4 will be displayed. So we will see the output in a short while. Okay, so now I will ask Hasina Akhtar, how would I divide 2 numbers? What function do I call? Okay, I think they are on mute, right? so I don't know if the people who connected through web can talk. Okay, Shukladas, can you tell me how do I calculate the division of two numbers?
I'm not Shukla, I'm Tamina. Sorry. Can I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Divide numbers.
Divide numbers, correct. Okay. Now I did it. Okay, tell me two numbers. I'll tell you what is the mistake I made. Yeah, tell me what numbers do you want to divide?
6 and 4.
6 and 4. Okay, 6 and 4 normally it returns reminder. So I would take 10. So simple. I want to focus on the reusability. Okay, now let me remind you, every function always starts with a small letter, right? So here divide, D started with the capital letter, so which is not bad, but doesn't look good with the consistency purposes. You have to always start a function name with a small letter and new word with a capital letter. So that's a camel case, just remember. Okay, so divide number, I mean, it's a case sensitive language. Java is a case sensitive, so immediately throws error. So you can correct or go for a suggestion given by the tool. Now, let me run all these functions at the same time and see what is the output. So always right click on the Java file and run as and choose Java application. Okay. So if you are passing any runtime arguments, you can choose run configurations, right? But I'll show you that later. We don't need that much run configurations in automation. So, okay, now output is displayed here. So is the output correct as per our coding, or is it something wrong? Anyone?
It looks correct.
Yeah. So you can actually check and manually verify. So this is correct. That means I can reuse this any number of times. I have just debugged and have seen that, made sure that the output is correct. That means my coding is correct. Okay. If I want to jump to my function, if it is this is the linear programming, everything is in one class, so it's easy. But going forward, we are going to make lot of classes with reusable. So I'm going to put these in a different class, then it will become cumbersome. So if I want to jump to this function's definition, just control and hover over it. Okay, so it will become as link. Now I can click on it, it will jump to that function. Multiply numbers, see. So I can modify anything if I want to. So that's easier. Okay. Now I can use this as many times. If I want to add two different numbers, I can do so. So that means it's totally reusable. Add numbers. Now let me add two different numbers. Okay, tell me two different numbers. Will it calculate the same addition or different addition? Yes, tell me.
15 and 5.
Okay, 15 and 5. Now if I run, it will be added second time too. I mean, it will add whatever I want it to add. Okay. Now since I last ran program is welcome.java, I can simply click here too. So it is displayed also 15 and 5 is 20. Okay, now if I want to add two floating point numbers like 15.2, 5.3, will it work?
Yeah,
Let's
this has
15.2,
double.
5.7. It won't work because I declared in AB as integers, right? Now if I want to this to work, what should I do? Simply I have to make this double, right? Now I can access this. Okay, double AB, and here also add numbers. I have to pass double because if I am passing integer, it wouldn't accept any other data type. Okay. Now there are other errors. If A and B is double, its addition should be double too, right? So this cannot be integer. So basically, I'm broadening its scope. Double. All right. Okay. Now everything is good. Now 15.5 plus 5.7. If you can calculate manually and be ready, you can compare. So 21.2. Did it work? Yes, it did. So now what we are going to do, we can do whatever we want. We can pass anything. So all we have to make is everything double. So let's make division double, right? Okay. So now let's pass two different numbers. Okay, like you said, 6 and 4. Okay, because 6 and 4 double anyway. They're integers because its scope is doubles can contain integers too. They can, but 6.2 we can put it. But its division is going to be what? 2 point something, right? Or 1 point something, whatever it is. Okay, let's see. Don't worry about the math. So C is already double. Now let me save all and run it. Okay. Now, yeah, 1.5 division between 6.0 automatically it took it. See, because I declared them as double. So even though you passed a 6, it will be considered as 6.2 only. So the reason is it was declared as double. That's why we could see. If we declare it as integer and do this operation between two integers, it wouldn't work. Division between two integers, which results in a floating point number, double, wouldn't work because C would be integer. Since C is double, it can take this is a double. So okay. Now if everything you understood, simple program, right? Now okay, if you observe, automatically one package is imported. See, automatically that Eclipse will take care of it. Subset java.lang.characters are subset. Don't worry, if it is used or not used, that will take a look later. If you want to import, you can import like this, java.io .star, but if it is not usable, it will show the warning. So this is never used. So just for the example purpose, I have shown you. So you can delete this, right? Or you can put this. So just for the example purpose, I will keep it so that you can see the complete structure of a class, Java class. So first, starting with package declaration. Don't worry, it will be taken care by the tool, Eclipse tool itself, and the import automatically taken care. And the class you have to create, name is given, and variable declaration. This is normally variable declaration. And you can also initialize them if you want to. Initialization. So what is initialization? For example, I want to initialize A or B with 2.5, right? I can initialize 2. So what happens if B, I don't pass B automatically? Here I have to pass B, but in case if I pass null, the default value will be taken. So don't worry, this we will see in the constructor. So when we call a function, how to set the defaults and everything. And these are the reusable functions. Functions definitions, right? And here this is the main function. So when I put double slash, that means it's a commented line, it won't be executed. So simply that is for the readability purposes, just for us to understand. So this is the main function where you can call all these functions. So here all the calling the reusable functions. Now this is a complete structure of this. Okay, and if you make any mistake like brace is missing, it will show error. Simply click on this, it will show what is missing. See, the insert to complete class body, so that I would know this is missing. Okay, so now we will also make it.
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm Shukla speaking. I have one question. And then together we'll do the float and double. We'll use the
Double is float. Yeah, it's not C++, right? So double is float. Either you have long or double. Yeah. So double. So okay, let's come back to theory. Little bit of theory here. Okay, what are the data types? Okay, we have seen 4 types of methods, but there are data types of variables. Okay. Okay, what can be the data types of variable? Anyone? Shukla, you can speak.
The double, float, long, character,
Right.
integer, boolean,
Integer, double,
float,
long,
float.
long. Float
Mhm.
will not be used. It's in C++, but it's double and long. The long is like
Character, character,
string, yeah, character, char,
and then boolean.
boolean, correct. And
Mm, float.
there are many arrays. You can also speak
Yeah.
string array. We will know about this later. And what else?
In Java, string is not primitive, and the string is primitive data. Hello.
Which one? Which one? Yeah, go ahead.
String is primitive data.
String is a class, so string, all the
Yeah,
strings.
string also class and object declaration, but this one is not primitive data types, eh?
Right, right. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So basically, you can consider string as a combination of characters,
Yeah,
but string
character, yeah.
there are many methods available. So that is the advantage. So that's why you see a class name always starts with a capital letter. It's everything else is small letter, but string is a capital. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's array. You can also put integer arrays and everything. So there are many, but yeah, theoretically you can declare. You can see all this. Since we are directly jumping into the program for the sake of automation, I'm directly showing the intrinsically while programming. Okay. So now what we'll do is we will make this program a little bit complicated because this is linear. This is not how it's gonna look inside the framework, automation framework. Okay, so all these reusable functions, I want to put it in a package called library and call these functions from the library instead of welcome. All right, so let's do that. So in test, I am going to create another package called library. So library by name itself, it's a library of functions, you can say, where I can keep all these functions. All right, so in the library, okay, so since these addition, subtraction, multiplication, all those pertaining to what kind of this thing, what kind of operations are those? These are arithmetic operations, right? So I'm going to keep my class name as arithmetic. Okay, and since it's a reusable functions library, I don't main.
I have one question. And this arithmetic operation, we will use the rank and density rank also, and then SQL types, and then we'll use these types of command also, Java, no?
Yeah. Arithmetic by name, I am putting arithmetic because I want to only put these functions related to arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction.
Only for 4 types of, yeah. General.
I can put another one called comparison. Like I want to compare two numbers
Okay,
and.
compare means two numbers is comparison. That time we will use the comparison. Yeah.
Exactly. I can create
Yeah.
another class called comparison. So just for your clear understanding, I'm keeping the names very clearly.
Yeah, I got it.
So let's cut it. You're welcome. So let's cut this reusable functions and directly put it instead of typing again to save the time. I'm simply going to arithmetic, and this is my package in library, and my class name is arithmetic. I can simply paste it over here. Okay, so now you see the errors. Don't panic when you see the errors. Always click on this and hover over it. Okay, C cannot be resolved to a variable. Why? Because we haven't declared C, right? AB we have declared because it's a part of functions. So simply I have to declare C. What should be the C's data type? As we have seen, it should be double because when I add two double numbers, it will result in double, not an integer, right? So let's make double C. Okay, now still errors are there. Now let's again see. Why? Because static. I will tell you the difference of static and non-static later, just for the time being, because we are concentrating on basic programming. You have to take something standard for granted for now. Okay, just remember, if you're declaring a function as static, you have to use all variable as static. So I have to make this static too. If it is non-static, that is fine. So what is the difference between static and non-static? Static I can use with the class name. If function is declared as static, I can directly, without instantiating, I can use class name dot function name if I am using it in here. If it is non-static, I have to instantiate this function. All right. Now, okay. So I think simplicity purposes, I'll make everything non-static because it might confuse you. I'll simply remove non-static. As soon as I remove non-static, there is no error on C. You just notice that. Okay, now everything is gone, errors and everything. Okay, now I come to welcome. Now welcome is not a good name, right? Because welcome I just created for the initial purposes. So let's call it test. I can rename a function, rename a class by refactoring it here. Refactor rename. All right. Now instead of welcome, what should be the proper this thing? So normally in automation, we will have test cases. That's what we are going to automate, right? So I will put the same name. Let's call it test case number 1. All right. So that would be more appropriate. Now it automatically updates the references because wherever this is used, it will automatically update. So don't worry about this. And finish. So if you look at this, automatically the welcome was renamed because I refactored it, not just renamed. Okay, now we see a lot of errors. Okay, why? Because the definitions of these functions are not available here, right? I just moved it to another class called arithmetic. Now I just have to point these to this instead of this, right? Now how can I do that? By instantiating this class. What is the instantiation? So here I have defined some functions in one class. Now I want to use these functions or call these functions in another class within the same project. Then I have to create an instance of this class. Thereby using that instance, I can call these functions, right? That is called instantiation. Okay, now how would I do? Basically by instantiating, in the JVM, it will create some space for that object. It's basically object. Okay, now instantiation, yeah, spelling correct. Okay, now what class I want to instantiate? Arithmetic. So arithmetic, let's call ARTH. New keyword will create a new object. Arithmetic. See, it's in library. I can choose from available options here. Right now, what is missing is semicolon. Every line of code in Java ends with a semicolon. Just make sure. Yeah. Okay. So now I instantiated this. That means whatever functions are defined in this arithmetic, I can access through this instance. This is the instance, right? Now here, simply I will use that instance, arth dot. All right. So automatically, okay. Now the problem is change arth to static. That's what it is saying because it is static. Okay. So I just made this static. Okay, simply I will call other functions with the same instance. And this one too. All right. Now all errors are gone. So now if I want to make some changes to this function's definition, let's say divide numbers, I can simply press Control, right? And it becomes hyperlink and click on it. Now I will jump to that function. See, I am in this function. Just save it. Errors will be gone. Yeah. So I am jump to arithmetic directly from test case. So if you want to make modifications to add numbers, simply click on it. I jump to that function in that particular class. What changes I can make here? Division between product of. Okay, so that's a typo, right? So I just want to make this change, simple change. Okay, now which class I have to run? Arithmetic or test case one? which is having the runnable method main. Test case one, not arithmetic, because arithmetic doesn't have anything that I can run. It simply has the definitions of some functions, acts as a library. So I had to go to test case one and right click and run as Java application. Okay, same output is displayed again. So what I changed was simply I moved the reusable functions to library. So this is called modularization. So initially that was a linear programming. Now I have modularized. What is module? I have created a module called arithmetic. So this is the first step to the keyword driven. So it's basically keyword driven. I have created keywords functions called add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So these are the keywords. And modularization, which is an important aspect in the framework, hybrid framework. So this is how you simply create a library class, define some functions, whatever you want to. These are called reusable because by name you can reuse them. So what is the advantage of the reusability? Because if I want to add two numbers, again I have to two numbers, I don't have to repeat the code here, right? I can simply call them twice. So if I don't create the reusable functions, what I have to do? I have to repeat this piece of code every time I have to add the numbers. So that is the main difference. Okay, so
Arithmetic is longer, and then the test case is shorter where you declare the variable and output is coming. This one is good, test case.
yeah,
And
this one is better.
arithmetic is a step by step how to declare and then long process. Sometimes we write the program and then something is mistake. That time is too much. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so this is a simple program. So we will just move on to a little bit complicated called, I'll call conditional statements, because for comparison, looping, and everything, we have to learn about this. So operators, then, okay, I try to explain the same thing that I have done in the program here. I'll just walk you through this. Instantiation. When do we instantiate? If I want to use the functions that are created in a different class, I have to instantiate this class. So that's exactly I have written. This I'll share with you so that you can read and understand it. In order to call a non-static function a different class, we must create an instance of that class and through which we can call that function. That's exactly what I did. So like this, class name, instance name, new is a keyword that will create a new instance, and class name. So this is basically constructor. So don't worry about this. Just remember the syntax right now. I'll explain about this later. So value is a class, val is an instance, and new is a keyword, okay, and values is a constructor, default constructor. So we'll come to that later. Just remember the instance. How do you create instance? Like this. That's all you have to remember right now. And how do we use this instance to access the function within this values class? Simply val dot instance dot. So using val accessing method. That's exactly what we have seen just now. Now, in order to call a static function, non-static we have seen. Static, directly I can use the class name. I will show you this, okay, so that you will immediately understand. Okay, now I will create another function here. Let's call it public. I use it in a static manner. This has to be static. All static functions have to be called in a static way. All non-static functions have to be called in non-static way, right? So let's create another function called what do you want to create? Another arithmetic operation that we missed out, right? We can simply call that. What is it? Simply use it. Modulo operator. So this will basically return the remainder after the division. So a divided by b, right? If 6 is divided by 4, use 1.5. So basically it will return me, instead of I have to go for integer, so it will return me what? 6 divided by 4, 4 ones are 4, so remainder is 2. So 2 will be the output. Let's see. Don't make any assumptions right now. So this will be modulo. Let's call it or remainder. I think modulo will be better. Modulo of numbers. Okay, so here I'll take because I want a reminder, because if I take a division, it will actually divide and show me the floating point. It's okay. I'll make a little modification to this. Okay, I'll make it this function as a returnable public static integer. Okay, so the difference between this and this is it's a void. It is not returning. So that I'll print it too, so that you will see the output also. Okay, so simply I have to have return statement. What I want to return, a modulo b. That's it. Print it if I want to. This is, so what should be the output if you want to see? Modulo of or remainder of two numbers when they are divided in that order, a and b. So what is equals? Okay, so since I have to concatenate, use the concatenation of a modulo b. Okay, so simple. I can see the output also. Okay, what is the mistake here? I did not.
Break it.
Okay, what is the mistake again? Unreachable code. Okay, because after return statement, the code is unreachable. So I have to put it before.
Semicolon.
Semicolon is there, but after return should be the last statement. That's why this code is unreachable. So if you are returning any value, just make sure all other piece of code is before that return. In other words, return should be the last statements in the functions that return something. So that's it. So remember, this was a later than return, so it was showing unreachable code. So I just simply shifted this to output. Yeah, semicolon was there anyway. It has to be there, otherwise it will throw error. Okay. Now the reason I am creating this function is to show you guys how do you call a function in a static manner. Okay, and this is a static function. Okay, let's go and do that. Okay. Now, non-static manner is I have to create the instance of that class and use that instance to call this. But for modulo of numbers, I can do directly like this. Arithmetic, which is a class name. But only function that is available is modulo of numbers because it is static. Okay. Now I will pass 6 and 4 only. Okay. Now you know what the output is. What is the output? Okay, there is a simple silly mistake, modulo of numbers a. Okay, I'll simply remove it. So if anytime you want, this is called like many times, you have to refactor it instead of renaming it. So refactor rename would automatically rename all those instances where it is used. So see, okay, so this will be renamed here also. See, automatically a is gone here. Okay, now let's run this test case. Run as. Okay, see, remainder of the two numbers when they are divided in that order is 2. So when 6 is divided by 4, when they are integers, the remainder is 2. So that's correct. So don't worry about this one. The main reason I showed you is this is the one. Don't concentrate on this one output. This is the important concept in Java. This is a static calling. What is a static calling? By class name directly. Arithmetic is a class name. By class name directly. So these are calling the reusable functions in non-static way. That means using by instance. That's the difference between static and non-static here. So if I want to call this as a static function, the function must be declared as static. Remember, these all functions are non-static. This is a static function. So I'll just write it down here. Static function. Similarly, you can make variables static, non-static. So we already did that, right? So this is a static variable. So if I want to call this variable, then the function must be static. I mean, you cannot use the non-static variable. So here, these are all non-static. Okay, so that's about it. Now we will jump to another important concept called conditional statements. Okay, till this we have covered. Okay, anybody, any guesses? This will be just like C++, all the conditional statements, no difference. If anybody knows about C++, they can easily state what are the conditional statements. If else, yeah, and if else, there are many. If else, multiple ifs, and nested ifs. Multiple ifs means if, many ifs. Nested if means if within an if, so it's within the if. So this is one of the conditional statements. Then switch cases are more useful when you're dealing with multiple ifs, like I said. So switch cases are most elegant way of coding. And loops, for loop,
While loop, do loop.
while loop, yeah.
Do loop.
Do loop is called do while loop because do and while is at the end. So the difference between while and do while loop is while loop the condition will be checked in from the step one, first step,
Yeah, before taking this one and then after taking this one.
correct, yeah. Do while loop advantage is it won't check the first condition, only from second onward, because the first time it won't check. First time it will be do, like it says, it will be, the piece of code will be executed. Then second iteration onwards it will check. So if you want anything specific in your example like that, you can use do while. So we will see. And there are many, so we will just use this important. So whatever I am teaching from the perspective of automation. Whatever is required, I'm skipping all unnecessary stuff. So Core Java is all about more practicing and using logic. Okay, so we will use some examples. Okay, so let's create another class in the library, right? So that's what we are using, always reusable function, then call them in the test case 1 or test case 2, whatever we want. Okay, now I want to use conditional statement. So what class I can create? Yes, conditional statements, right? So let's call it conditional statements simply. Let's call it conditional. Yes, conditional will be sufficient. Okay, now, okay, simply I want to find a maximum of two numbers and display the maximum. Simple function. All right. Okay. Anybody want to tell me? I want to create a function for maximum. Of two numbers only, just to keep it simple. Yeah. So how do I create the function? Tell me the function declaration.
Max numbers.
Okay, that's it. There is no beginning and ending, like public, private, something.
Yeah, public, static, void. Yeah.
Right. You have to tell me the complete structure. Public, then public is the access modifier, right? Does it return anything? No. Every function has these features. Returns, doesn't return, like I told you. Access modifier, public, private, protected, right? And 4 types.
Yeah,
Access,
public, private.
returning values, so you have to mention everything. So does it return? You want it to return or not? That's all. So max numbers, I don't want to return, I just want to print it. So let me put void. Void means it's not written. Now, does it take any arguments? It has to, right? Because you want to compare two numbers. So you have to accept two numbers. Let's take them and is integer b, or if you want to keep it as a long or double, I can take. So I will take long a, long b. Okay. So just to cover all. Okay, then bracket open, bracket close. Now this is the structure of a function, right? I just declared it. Now I have to define it. Okay, how would I define it? How would I choose what is greater than what and print that maximum value to the console, right? Okay, so what is the conditional statement I have to use if I want to compare to?
Is if else.
If else is not required, okay, or we can put if else also. Yeah, that's a good idea. Min and max. So let's call it min maximum and minimum. We'll print both. So we'll use if else of two numbers. So let's call this max min number. So that's how you name it always, so that you can read clearly how many words are there. 3. So it's a camel case. Okay, so let's write the logic. Now logic time. If A is greater than B, okay, what is the maximum? The max number is, yes. Okay, actually I have to sys out this. I forgot. Sys out means it's a system.out.println short form. So sys out and control space.
Result is coming.
Yeah, so now I can put this with this. Okay, so the maximum number is A, correct? Okay, so now I want to display the minimum number also. So instead of again one more s, I can put else, because if A is not greater than B, obviously it is less than B. So now I can simply repeat this line. Okay, so it is not aligned. So for alignment, you can use control A, control A, control alt L. Okay, it normally differs from, I happen to use another IDE called IntelliJ. Okay, so now the problem is here this is ended, right? All right. Now this brackets you can use if you have multiple lines. Otherwise, you can just leave them. But it's a good idea to keep them in case you add more lines. Yeah. So now it is perfect. So if this, else this, right? Now correct the else portions logic. Anyone? This there is a mistake in this. Yeah, what is it? Yes, anyone? So control L is the correct indentation. Okay, so now it is aligned correctly. So I can control A, control L. Oh, sorry, not this one. Okay, just go for that instead of shortcut. Okay, so now tell me the else portions logic mistake. If at all it is correct, not correct. So min is the logic, right? So what is the min? If A is greater than B, obviously A is the maximum. So otherwise A is less than B. That means which one? A is the minimum. So you understand, right? Don't get confused here. A is greater than B, then A is the maximum, right? Else means it's otherwise A is less than B. So the minimum is A only. So we are displaying A only. So you can repeat max number is A and minimum number is B and blah blah blah. So since our function is max and min, we have to cover both. The max number is A and I will just repeat this. It's a multi-line statement. Okay, in the first case, what is a min number? Min number is obviously B. If A is the max, B is minimum. So I can repeat this. Okay, so what is the max here? If A is less than B, B is the max. And minimum number is A. Okay. Okay, so min max numbers I have written, defined, and I want to call this here in the public static void main. This is the main function, right? Okay, now anybody, how would I call this? Yes. Yeah, simply you have to call to an instance because it's not static, right? Or if I want to use static, I can call this in a static way. Okay, now let's call this in a static way because I don't want to create another instance. So here, yeah, tell me, conditional dot max min numbers. Okay, tell me two long numbers, anything. You want to compare? You want to compare two numbers? What numbers you want to compare?
How about
Simple.
8 and 9?
8 and 9 would be okay, but I was expecting long numbers. So I mean with decimal portion. Okay, that's no problem. So let's run this simple program. This case one. Okay, what do you expect? The max number is 9, min number is 8. Okay, that was simple. Now let's make it a little bit complicated. 12.89. Okay, so I'll use 12. Okay, so which one is max, which one is min in this one? In this one? Okay, now there is error. What is that error? The method max min numbers long in the type conditional is not applicable for the argument double. Okay, yeah, this is actually I'm entering as double, not long. So I have to make these as double. So data type mismatch. So always be cautious about this. So basically for long, I can use this one. Simply remove the dot, it will be long. Okay. Now I will run this and make double so that we'll see both examples. Okay, so obviously this is the max and this is the min. Okay, now I want to put the dot also. What can I do? Okay, so I can change the data type over here, correct? Or there is
Use
a
double. Or use double. That's it.
double. I can use double, but I want to keep both. So in that case, I can simply redefine this function without changing the name, which is called overloading. This is a concept in polymorphism, right? So the Java is a OOPS language. What are the OOPS? It's abstract, encryption, inheritance, and polymorphism. So this is called polymorphism. That means one function can be shown in many ways. So I want to keep the same name, but I'll simply change its signature, its data type. Okay. So how would my test case know that which it's going to access? So it's going to access the function based on the values I pass. If I pass two long numbers, it's going to access this function. If I pass two doubles, it's going to access this. So this concept is called overloading. Okay, so this function is set to be overloaded function of this one or vice versa. So I'm simply going to call another function conditional dot. See, automatically there are two functions with the same name but
But
with the different
the output is different, huh?
double. Yeah.
Output
So
is different.
output is also different, obviously. Function
Yeah,
both of
because
them.
overloading is same name and then output is different. And then overwriting is same name, same output.
Of course, yeah. Output will be different, obviously. So now simply I created that function because I want to be able to pass a different type of data. Data type is different. See, these are the long, but this is a double. Double means it's a floating point with a decimal and everything. Okay, now if I run this program, it's gonna work for this one too. So it's an important concept. So just keep that in mind. So this function name is same, but the data types are different. Okay, so the second one, the max number is 454 for 4.454, where the min is 134.34. So that's all. Now, okay, now tell me if I want to overload this further, where I can only accept integer, how do you overload it? Overloading is part of polymorphism. So I want to overload. Let's overload here. So simply I'll change this to integer. That's it. So if I pass integer, okay, so based on my calling, it will automatically access. Let's see, does it? Conditional dot. See, there are three functions in the same. Now I can pass 0, 1. Okay, now it's going to display minimum is 0, maximum is 1 for the third one. Okay, now if you see, everything is mixed up, right? So I just want to make a simple separator after each line. So what I'll do is I'll simply print a backslash. So this is a new line character. I mean, println automatically prints new lines, so I am taking it two double lines, or I can put like this. So these are all for decoration purposes. Okay, so this will look nice in the output. So, okay, so I will
It's
repeat
line
this.
breaking, yeah?
Line breaking, right?
Line breaking.
Correct, yeah, line breaking. So this else is over here. So just remember this. If is over here, else is over there, and here I'm putting line breaking. Okay. Now let's rerun the test case one. So simply I'll get a so separate. First one, the max number is min number is for long, and max and min for double, and max and min for integer. Okay, so what else we can declare in the conditional? What else we can see in the conditional? If else if you can always see. Okay, if else if and else one more. So simply I'll tweak this one of these functions so that we can cover that function too. Else if, okay, now let's say I pass the same number 2 and 2. So obviously you cannot choose min and max because both are equal. So both, you cannot take min and max from the two same numbers. So in that case, what I want to do, thus that logic is not covered. See, so I want to cover that logic too for the integers only, just for the sake of example. So else if a, tell me, equals to b, then I want to simply write both numbers are equal, right? Okay, anything wrong with this? We haven't ended the code. Okay, so now equals mismatch of boolean, so it has to be double equal always. This is a conditional operator, as I explained in this. Yeah, relational operator, double equals. So you have to use this when I'm comparing. Equal, it has to be like this: greater than, less than. It's not equal. Double equal means equal. If it is equal, it is like you're comparing, you're assigning some value or boolean, so that's not applicable. Equals. Okay, now I covered max. All right, if I covered okay, this is actually redundant, but I just for the sake of showing if and else I showed you. Let's cover a different thing. Okay, what else? Else part. Okay, if A is greater than B and A is not equal to B, A is equal to B, else part should contain. Okay, let's cover this one only. Let's right. Okay, B and A. So simply I want to cover else part
Line
with the
14, line 14, it isn't declared the variable. Line 14, output system, line 14.
what is that? Line 14.
Line 14, output. What is the output?
Line, yeah, don't worry about the output here.
Oh,
Oh, oops, it went outside, so it has to. Okay, we got one extra. Now this is correct. Okay, simply this example is to show you guys how would I use if, else if, and else. That's all. Okay, so if A is greater than B, I want to display this. If A equals B, I want to display both are equal. And if A is less than B, which is else part, whatever it is, default part, this one. So now I will choose, I will call this function in such a way that I will pass two same numbers and see if it accesses else if. So max min number, and I will pass here 1 comma 1. Okay, so instead of max and min, it will simply say both are equal. Okay, so the last one, both are equal because 1 and 1. So it will basically access this and this. So when it is running, actually when it runs, this condition is met, it won't go to else again, it will directly come out of this function. So that is advantage. It is faster. So if you mention multiple ifs, it will check each and every if. So that's why we have to use if and else if. Or if there are many ifs, try to use switch case. So we will also see that switch case shortly. Okay, so switch case example, I will take it as like this. If I enter numbers from 1 to 7, it will display equivalent day name. So basically 1 represents Sunday, 2 represents Monday, and blah blah blah, 7 represents Saturday. So let's make a program like this. Public void, let's call it weekdays. All right, so what I'm accepting here, an integer, right? Okay, now why I am taking switch case? Because there are 7 ifs, right? So just to avoid that time delay in running, is if I use multiple ifs, it will run each if, which will take time, maybe with a few milliseconds more, but it will make difference when we are dealing with the big programs. So this is just to show you guys how do you use switch case. So switch case statement. So this will automatically generate for me if you don't remember. So A is my condition, and I am entering 1. If A, this means if A equals 1, I want to print Sunday. All right. Now same thing I'll repeat it for 7 weeks of it, 7 days of the week. I think 7 days are over. So if I enter 2, it should display Monday. If I enter 3, it will display Tuesday. Enter 4 should display 5, 6, and 7. All right, Saturday. All right, so this is an extra I'll remove. Now, like in if else, there is a else. So default will be if I enter something other than 1 to 7, it should display something. So that's something I can say. Please enter any number from 1 to 7 only. So if it is 8, I cannot put a 8th day of the week. So there is no 8th day of the week. So this is it. So this just to determine what is the day. If I enter the number of the day, it will display the name of the day in a week. Okay. So it's always a good idea to keep a function name as a comment. So this is function to display the name of the week if the number of the week is passed. Pass means I passed as the argument. This is argument. I'm going to pass it. Okay. So now let's call this. It's a remember this is a non-static function. Now you have to tell me how do I access this non-static function here. Okay. Now anyone? How do I enter non-static? How do I call this? I have to instantiate. So conditional con equals new conditional. Okay. Now using this con, I have to access this. So what is the function? Con dot. Yes. Okay, it's not accessing anything. So let's see. Okay, here to change this to static because it's a static function. Main is static. Okay. Now if I type dot, it will show all the available functions. Okay, what are the available functions and what I want to use? Call here weekdays, right? Okay, now I enter 1. Now what should be the output? Here, what should be the output?
Sunday.
Sunday, correct? So let's see, Sunday. Okay, now if I enter 7, what should be the output?
Saturday.
Right. Now if I enter 9, what should be the output? Tell me quickly.
Please enter number bit from 1 to 7.
Correct. Yeah, because it went to default case because I defined only for 7, 1 to 7. And if it is none of these, it will go to the default. It's like else case in the switch case. So always put default case in a switch case. Okay. Now we will go to the next one. If else, else. Multiple ifs normally you have to replace them by switch cases. Nested ifs is if within an if. Basically, you put within an if. Like it will show. I can show it here. Okay, always check where this function ends. Yeah, this function ends here so that you can declare or define another function here. So let's public void. Let's use a function nested ifs. I keep the function name as same concept name so that you can refer to it. Nested. Okay, I'll simply take an integer. Okay, it will look like this. If a equals to all right, let's take like this. integer b. Okay, if a is greater than b, okay, what I want to display is if a is greater than b, close and open. I want to simply print a is greater than b. Okay, I'm just not going for this concatenation because this is to show nested if example. So if is there, right? Now I'll just put it here. Now if a is greater than b, now I want to check within that if another if a is greater than or equal to b. Now I will simply modify this. A is greater than or equal to b. Okay, so this, it will check this condition, it will display process. Again it will check this condition. So the thing is, it will check this condition. If it is satisfied, then only it will enter this nested if with inside it. If this condition is not satisfied, it will come out. So okay, so I'm not going to call this function because it just show example, let's say nested ifs. However, it's better idea to use a switch case, in which case you want to use multiple ifs or nested ifs. Okay, let's jump to for loop. So when do you think is a good idea to use a for loop? What is the right scenario to use for loop? Anyone? For loop. So okay, if I want to do something repeatedly, I have to use for loop. Just that's all you have to remember. Okay, so this is for loop example. Okay, I simply want to display numbers from 1 to 100. Okay, without display writing sysout system.out.println 100 times. Okay, so the best way is to use a for loop. Just one display, one system out will display all those 100 times by looping in. Okay, so I would call this display numbers. I'll make little bit programmatic. So basically I accept some number, greater number, till which I want to display those numbers. For example, if I enter 1000, I want to display numbers from 1 to 1000. So that I will accept as an argument from the user. So integer, let's call it max number to display from 1. Okay, let's say. So the reason I kept this more readable is it will be understood easily by when tester calls this function in the test case, he knows what to enter here. So this is more just to for the like self-explanatory thing, so he can understand it, what to enter exactly. If I just keep max number, he doesn't know what will this max number do. So if I'm entering max number to display from 1, okay, you would understand, oh, it's going to display 1 to that number, so that I can enter this. Okay, now how do I do this using a for loop? Okay, so you don't have to remember a syntax. Normally it will Eclipse will take care of it. This is how it's going to look like for integer, one initial number and the condition and the increment. So condition is until that number it will be reached. Okay, so you can choose this one, or we can write this. So let's write it because that's how you're gonna learn. Okay, integer I equals to, I'm gonna start from 1 until what number? I less than or equal to max number to display. That's my parameter, and I'm going to increment by 1. I plus plus means plus 1 every time. Okay, now sys out. Okay, what I'm going to display here every time 1, right? So it will display basically whatever number I enter till that number from starting from 1. Okay, now let's go to test case. Yes, now how do I call that? Anyone? How do I call it for loop function? Con dot, yes, display numbers, it's right there. Okay, till what number you want to display? Let's say 1000, and run this. So it's going to display all those numbers. Basically it's to loop in all those operations that you want to repeat. Okay, so here it displayed all the numbers starting from 1. Here, so this there is no line break here, so that's fine. So 1 2 3 4 5 till 1000. Okay, so that's simple example for a loop, but it will give you an idea when we actually jump to. This will be useful in automation, especially you want to repeatedly do some operations like clicking or capturing a text or selecting to drop down value multiple times like that. Okay, so while loop, do while loop, same thing. You can practice this. Okay, I'll give you examples. You can practice using while loop and do while loop. So all you have to do is I'll just show you the syntax and I'll give you as a homework. So here while, and that's it. Okay, this is not the right example. While, okay, there are many whiles here. Iterate with iterator and while loop with condition. So this is what we are going to use. While, put some condition like a greater than b or a is greater than 1000, like this. All right, so it will first check this condition, only then it will execute this code. Right, now if you don't want to execute code for the first time, go for the do while loop. So do while statement will skip the first statement, so you can find those examples when to use do while and when to use while. So condition, I can put max number greater than 1000 and execute this piece of code. Okay, so as you can see, first it will do, that means it will directly execute this code without checking any condition. First iteration, second iteration onward, it will check if this condition is satisfied, it will again repeat this. It acts as a for loop again until this condition is satisfied. Once this condition is not satisfied here, it will come out of the loop. So end of the loop, it will go to the next line statement. So it will act as the same thing for while. So for the time being, I'll just comment this piece of code. So how can I comment this? Simply, if I want to comment any piece of code, select that lines, Control Shift backslash. So it becomes green. That means it cannot be executed. So this will give you a chance to look at it later or something. Okay, so that do while. Okay, now I will tell you one important aspect in automation and coding also, debugging. So what is debugging? For example, something is wrong. I want to check the values here at the runtime so I can debug. So I will jump to, let's go to multiply numbers, how the multiply numbers is being done. Okay, so just to do this, I'll deliberately put some wrong thing. So my multiply numbers is not working. It's actually not displaying product. Instead, it is displaying subtraction, the difference. Now, by mistake I have done this. Okay. Now I want to investigate. So I'm getting wrong output here. Obviously, I'm not getting 8. Instead, I'm getting 2. Okay, so I will simply debug. The only way to put this is find out this is by putting a debug point. So this is the one second, toggle breakpoint. Okay, I added a breakpoint here. Now normally how would I run? I would run as, right? Instead I will go for debug as. Okay, so this what it will do if I debug, it will run till this breakpoint and it will stop here so that I can jump investigate the piece of code I've written. Okay, so let's do that. Right click, debug as, and Java application. Okay, now let's see. Okay, now this is the debug window. Now as you can see the variables here and their values. You can runtime, you can clearly see. Now my piece of code, the whole test case ran till the breakpoint, till here. Subtract numbers. Okay, 8 and 3 difference between 5.0, right? Now it didn't execute multiply numbers because I want to investigate is it correct or not. Okay, now this is the project structure, this is the variable watch, this is your test case, this is your console, this is the outline, how many methods and variables are there in the particular class test case. So A, B, C are me. Okay, now there are three options. I can step into, step over, and step return. Step into means go inside the function and go line by line. Step over means do not go inside, directly execute all the lines in the function and go, continue to divide number. Okay, so it's a good idea to step into, or F5. Okay, now I am stepping inside. Okay, so now I am inside the multiply numbers. Correct, that's where I put the debug point, multiply numbers. Now multiply numbers is accepting two variables a, b, and I passed 2, 4 for this in the test case. Remember, 2 and 4. Okay, now the current point is at this line. That means this is not executed yet. You can see what line is grayed out, what line is highlighted. It is yet to execute. Only when if I step over, now I don't want to go inside this, I just want to go over it. So now step over, or F6. Okay, now what happened? It executed that, but where is the value? That multiply product of this number, still it's not displayed. So since step over again, product of 2 and 4 is, I can clearly see. If I had declared written this number C, it would have put this variable here because it doesn't belong here, it's not showing. So simply I can see product of 2 and 4 is minus 2.0, which is a difference actually. Now I can check the check the error mistake. Yes, this is where the mistake is, right? Okay, so C value is minus 2, which is wrong. So I can hover over it and see. A value is 2, B value is 4. So if I am expecting multi-product, C value has to be how much? 8, but it is minus 2. So I can clearly identify and correct it here, A star B. And now if I want to run it, I can run it. Our step return will actually get back to this position and rerun this. So I want to step return. Okay, now I can again step into, right? Oh, sorry, I can start over instead of this. Okay, let's start over, because step return again it gets back to the earlier position. Okay, now save it, because I haven't saved that change yet. So whatever you are running, right, it will run the compiled program .class file. So every time you have to save that and then rerun. Okay, so now the debug, this is a perspective. So now you are in Java, so don't worry, your perspective changes. All you have to do is just click on this Java. Okay, now I can debug again. Java application. Okay, now I am in the same position. Step into and step over. All right, step over again. Now see, A value is 2, B value is 4, and C value is 8.0, which is correct. So my program worked. I mean, it is fixed basically. Now switch back to Java. Now this is a concept called debugging. So I just showed you a simple example, debugging a simple function. It will be the same while writing automation program, because we write XPaths as wrong XPaths. So only when we are debugging, we can find out the issue in XPaths, which is basically used to identify the object in question. Okay, so any doubts so far that we have covered? We will jump to more later. Okay, just for your understanding, I have also written the whole code in this. I am going to share this notes, Java notes. So we have seen this addition of numbers, difference of numbers, product of numbers, and division of two numbers in a reusable functions manner, and remainder of modulus modulo operator. And so in the test case, how did I call using this static and non-static way? Okay, everything I written down here, so don't worry about this thing. I'm going to share this one too, but later. So just for your understanding, I'm going to share this today. So now your homework is create reusable functions for returning minimum and maximum values. So two numbers are passed. This we have already seen, right? So I'm going to remove it, or I'm going to put it as non-homework. Now your homework is create a reusable function for returning minimum and maximum value of three numbers. So basically, you have to accept A, B, C integer and return 1 max, 1 min. All right. If I enter pass 2, 3, 4, you have to return 2 as min and 4 as max. Okay. So three numbers. So find out the logic. Basically, you have to use a temp variable or something. So it's easy. Find out and come up. I already created. So arithmetic, add numbers, divide numbers. Modulo is a conditional. So let me use double with the overloaded function. Okay, so this is for switch case and for loop. I will just and yeah, that's it. Okay, you can create one function for while using while, one function using do while. Take your own example and try to come up. Or before that, you have to install Eclipse. So I have provided the links where you can download the Eclipse from. And conditional structures we have just seen. How do you compare x greater than y, x greater than y and x greater than z? So basically for the homework you have to use this one. Okay, polymorphism we have seen overloading. Okay, overloading of 2 or 3 functions like this, same function name but with different signature. And okay, and overriding we will see as part of inheritance. So basically we will create two classes, parent class and child class, and we will extend child class will extend parent class and try to use the function defined in the parent class. So which one it will take precedence, that is the concept of overriding. Okay, so don't worry about these. I think I already explained about these, right? Okay, you can also do this homework. I'm basically going to put this homework in one place. Yes, homework. And take this as homework is number 5. And we have seen static and non-static, right? So static functions are directly accessed with the class name. That's what we have seen. Non-static, we have to create an instance and use that. So static can only access cannot access non-static. So basically only static can access static. Non-static can access both static and non-static. So if it is static function, then you have to create static variable, static function. Only static can only access static members, others not. Non-static can access static members, and non-static can access non-static members as well. So I'll also repeat that. That will be clear. Non-static can access non-static members also. So when I say members, it's both variables and methods. Methods means functions. So don't get confused with members. Okay, so constructors we will see later. So this will be next chapter. So don't worry. Even I'm going to share this. So don't worry about constructors. It's a basically class function matching the class name. When you instantiate, automatically first thing it will call is a constructor. So that example will see. And I have listed out some shortcuts here. Sysout and control space will result in this system.out. Okay, so the OOPS object actually it's a theoretical part. Since Java is OOPS concept, object-oriented programming language, it comes with data abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Okay, so abstraction is representing important description without including background details. That's abstraction. Encapsulation is wrapping the data in variables and fields. So that's what we have been doing in each class and objects. Encapsulation, like putting everything into capsule instead of revealing it. So everything in Java is a combination of classes and objects that itself is encapsulation. Inheritance is we are going to see tomorrow. So like I said, child class is inheriting features of parent. So if I create few methods or functions variables in a parent class and child class is extending parent class, then child class I don't have to recreate those functions. I can directly inherit those features. So we will see. And also we'll see the overriding concept. Polymorphism we have just seen, which is a overloading. That is a polymorphism. A method can appear in many forms by changing its signature. So that's exactly what it is. Method appearing in many forms, same method, by just changing its signature. That's overriding. Sorry, this is overloading. So this would be the important questions in the question in the interview also. What is the difference between overloading and overriding? So overloading is a method can appearing in many forms with a different signature. Overriding is a child class. If child class extends parent class, then it inherits all the features from parent class, and if you're creating the same function in child class, that function will take precedence. It will override the parent class function. That we will see the example tomorrow. And instantiation we have seen. If it is non-static, we have to use the instance values, val is equal to new values for accessing those functions in the class. Okay, I just try to explain initialization, getter setters we will see tomorrow. And access modifiers we have already seen. So either you can make private, public, or protected. So in the sense that if I make this private, you cannot access this. You will see the error automatically. So that that function is accessible only within that class. So always make this public if you want it to be accessible in outside classes. Okay, so single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, you can just read out. We'll see this while automation itself because we have less time. And arrays we will see tomorrow. And for loops I try to explain. Exception handling we will see tomorrow. So don't worry about this rest of these things, regular expressions. So our today's class actually ended here. Before examples, wherever I said it. Yeah, homework. So this is where it ends, and you can do the homework. Okay, so already it's today. I'll end this session here. It's already 2 hours past. Don't forget to download the Eclipse and practice, because the more you practice, the more you.
Question
Yeah, go ahead.
about tomorrow. I don't think so it's possible for me to attend tomorrow or any weekdays classes besides Tuesday. Only thing I can do over the weekend. I don't know how about others, but I can't.
Okay, then no problem. I won't take the class tomorrow. So we will be skip the class on next weekend because I'm going out of station.
So the next class will be on following Tuesday.
Tuesday, correct.
Thank you.
Following Tuesday and then following Saturday. Is it okay by everyone?
Yes.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, so basically next weekend there will not be any class because I'm going in the morning and coming in the very night of Sunday. So to compensate for that, I wanted to take classes tomorrow, like today is Tuesday, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 hours, so that we can compensate. But some students are not okay with that because they have other, I mean, priorities maybe. So if that is okay with everyone, we will directly take class on next Tuesday. Okay, is everything okay? Everybody okay with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. So just practice today's class. I'm going to share some examples. This the document. This has many small examples, Java examples. Try to practice. These are pretty self-explanatory. And I'll share today's notes, which has today's session as well as some extra sessions. So don't worry about the extra sessions. And yeah, that's it. So did everybody look at the files I've shared as deliverables?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I have given some homework for manual testing also, right? Writing test cases. Just try to fill those test cases in the templates I have given, like the regression test template or test case document. Test case document is like this. So basically you have to fill in the steps, fill in the steps. Excuse me. So this is a very big test case. Don't worry about this. This is a scenario, test scenario, and test case. Test steps divided into like 50 steps or 70 steps, including front end database, web service operations, and everything. So just delete this and delete these details and fill in these details. That's it. So we have test scenario, test step number, screen name, what screen is looking. This is optional, so you can delete it. This is mandatory. Test description, what you're doing, you're accessing login or whatever, what you're expecting, expected result, and what is actual result that you have to fill in at the time of execution. So I would say access this, access to web page is successful, like this. So the status will be pass. So it's pretty simple. This template will give you idea like how the actual real-time projects test case will look like. So this I have already shared you, so you can download them and pretty much practice on your own. Test plan is not for you, but it is good if senior test member want to create their own test plan, so they can refer to this diagram. And we will come to this data pools and everything later because that's automation purposes. I just shared this regression as data pool automation, which is going to be used for the data driven testing. So don't worry about this yet. So this will be like test case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and their corresponding data on the row level. And what else? Status is normally for reporting. So this is how we can report this test case, its status, pass or fail. I have basically put all the values in the drop down with the color coding and everything, so you can pretty much use this. And the test data. So what test data? Any comments like what is the issue? Comment suggestions you can put in the comments. So you can practice more test cases. The more you practice, the more it's better, because in automation also manual test cases sometimes you have to write initially at least, because in most projects they will start with manual and then jump to automation. So okay, that's all for tonight, guys. So we'll meet on next Tuesday. So I'll share this document with you, so don't forget to practice in the Eclipse. Okay, so download this Eclipse, it's free, open source, and try to create package, project, package, class for library, and test, 2 packages, 2 classes. So basically I would suggest go for creating new class called test case 2 and practice it. If you want, I can share this Java tutorial with you, but again I want you to create, so that's only how you're gonna get hands on. So the whatever programs we have practiced today, I have already listed them out here, and some extra programs that you can refer to and practice in this document also. So go for this. If If you have any doubts, we can discuss on next class, Tuesday. Okay, so that's all for tonight, guys. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Good night.
Good night.
This conference will now be recorded.